Okay, it is Monday night, January 15th. I just wrapped up the last vlog, and so I wanted to go ahead and get this one started. And I'm just going to be super brief because honestly, your grandma's tired and I want to go to bed. But my current audiobook is Winterkeep by Kristen Kishore. My hold came in. I'm pumped. I got about a third of the way through this, and I'm loving this so far. I'm loving it. I am so into this world. I love this series. I love Kristen Kishore's writing. I love everything about it. So I'm sure I will hopefully continue the gush fest of this series and talk more about it later on in the week. My physical read is A Silent Spring by Rachel Carson, and I have about 100 pages left of this one, just under 100 pages. And this is a super important work of environmental nonfiction that really helped galvanize the environmental movement here in the United States, and definitely has had an impact elsewhere as well, but really forced people to ask a lot of questions about why we use chemicals that we use, especially if we have no idea the impact that they'll have on the environment and our own bodies. And really just, she uses DDT as kind of a central focus for her argument, but really she's making the argument that we really need to understand that we are part of a larger world that has very complex systems, that when you mess with those systems, a lot of things can get out of whack. And if you don't understand what you're doing when you start messing with things, that can lead to bad results. And you need to understand the impact that you're having. You need to understand the things that you're putting into your body. And we have, even today, like this was written back in the 60s, like even today, so there are so many chemicals that we use that we have no idea what they do to us or to other species, to the environment at large. Anyway, so this is a huge piece in the environmental movement. So I read most of it in grad school, but I wanted to go ahead and finish it up and read the rest of it. So that's my current read, or my current physical read anyway. And so I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna listen to or what I'm gonna read after these. I'll just check in once I'm done with those and let you know what I'm wanting to read next. But anyway, yeah, I will check in later. Okay, so it is Sunday afternoon. I have finished 3 books since I last talked to y'all. So I'm gonna go over those super quickly. I don't have much time, so I'm just gonna check in super quickly. If I feel like I need to fill in more details, I'll do that tomorrow morning. But I finished Winterkeep by Kristen Kishore earlier this week. Absolutely loved it. Loved everything about it. Perfection. I love this series so much. So this is the 4th book in the Graceland Realm series, which is a series of companion novels, but I do recommend reading them in order because there are things in the previous books that help the later books make sense. There are characters from earlier books that come into play in later books. Anyway, I would recommend reading them in order, but you can read the individual novels as standalones and still, I think, really enjoy each of the individual stories. So in this one, we follow Bitterblue, who is the main character of the 3rd book, and it's set after the events of the 3rd book, and she is figuring out that there are some interesting things going on in another part of the world called Winterkeep, and she needs to kind of investigate what's going on. And I don't remember how much is actually in the synopsis of this one, but she is trying to go to Winterkeep to figure out what's going on. It has to do with trade in a resource, and so there's some mysterious things going on there. Some of her people have disappeared, and so she's trying to just figure out what's going on and how that's connected to the trade sale of this resource. Anyway, there are magical foxes involved. I loved everything about this book. I love the writing. I love the themes that each of her books explore. I absolutely love these characters. I adore this world. I just freaking love everything about this, right? Like, once again, Kristen Kishore just does it for me with this series. I love it. I then listened to Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. I actually have on Audible all 3 of the books in one audiobook. So I did just listen to Annihilation. That's the one that I have physically back in my apartment. And this one follows an expedition going into Area X, and it's kind of this mysterious area of this world, and people aren't really sure what's going on with it. This is the 12th expedition that has gone to this part of the world, and mysterious things happen to people who go on these expeditions and explore this part of the world. And so really you just follow a biologist who is going on this expedition, and it's a group of women who are on this expedition. So you follow them going into this area, you follow what's going on while they're there. They're trying to investigate a couple of different places that are in this area to kind of see if that explains what's going on. I really enjoyed this. I was super compelled the entire time, and I had to keep listening whenever I could, because I just had to know what would happen next. You know, obviously mysterious things keep happening to each of the characters, and the main character is trying to figure out what's going on. You're not entirely sure that the main character is a reliable narrator, or if she really knows what's going on, or if she can really trust her own senses, which was super interesting. She has an interesting past as it relates to this area of the world. I don't know how much of that is in the synopsis, so I'm not really going to say much there. But so she is just trying to figure out what's going on, and I loved it. The writing style is definitely very interesting and very unique. I loved it, and I'm very excited to continue and just see what the next 2 books bring. I'm very interested to continue. The next book I read was Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. I also listened to this one on audio, so a lot of audiobook listening this week, but I just finished that this morning. It was a pretty short audiobook, so it didn't take a ton of time, but honestly, I really enjoyed this one. I've heard so many people bash on the original Grisha trilogy, but I've just been curious to get into it, just for the context, for just the sake of being able to understand everyone's references when they talk about these characters. So I'm interested to read the original trilogy and then read the Six of Crows duology. You know, it's a YA fantasy. It's a pretty typical tropey YA fantasy. Like, there's not much new or special about it. But was it a fun, entertaining listen to me? Yeah, it was. I had a really fun time listening to it. The narrator is also really, really good, which I think was part of my enjoyment. I mean, she was just a really, really talented narrator. You know, it follows your typical naive YA main protagonist, Alina Starkov, who learns that she has powers and is taken from where she is to, you know, the palace with the Darkling and different Grishas, and you know, the king and queen are there, and she is getting trained up in her abilities, finds out that things are more complicated than they appear, you know, doesn't know who she can trust, that kind of stuff. So it's like, it's very, you know, frequently used, at least now. I mean, I know this was written a minute ago, but like, it's very common, frequently used tropes. Again, there's nothing like particularly special I can think of about this story, but it was definitely just entertaining, and I'm excited to continue. So honestly, super enjoyable, fun reading week, and I need to go. So I'm gonna check in later and just kind of let you know about what I'm planning on reading next and all that good stuff. So I'll check in later. Good morning. It is Tuesday, February 23rd, and here to wrap up this week's reading vlog. I had such a good reading week, finishing Winterkeep, Annihilation, Shadow and Bone. I had such a great reading week. I honestly thoroughly enjoyed all of those for very different reasons and to varying degrees, but still had an enjoyable time reading all of them. I also got a bit farther into Silent Spring, so don't have a ton more to go in this one. The audiobook that I picked up after finishing Shadow and Bone is American War by Omar El Akkad, so definitely We'll be talking to you more about that one in next week's reading vlog. I'm about a third of the way through that right now. But thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more bookish content. I'll leave my Twitter and Instagram link down below. That's where I like to hang out. And I will also leave more resources about how you can support the Black Lives Matter movement, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.